All right, sorry about that delay there. Had some technical issues. YouTube just doesn't work the way we want it sometimes. All right. So we are back. I think I'm sharing. There we go. Let's get this back on here. All right. Cool. So now that we are back, apologize about that. What we were doing is we were essentially just covering the just kind of the outline of, now that we have a clear understanding of life that goes into the webinar, the front end, what happens after people have signed up on the bottom of the webinar campaign, the webinar funnel. So this remarketing campaign, there's four outcomes. Okay, there's early abandon, there's missed webinar, there's completed webinar, clicked on a call to action, but didn't finish, and there's completed webinar, but didn't click on the call to action. So what you want to do is, if people have missed the webinar or left early, that means that they didn't watch the entire webinar campaign, the entire webinar presentation. They didn't see all the value that they're going to get. They didn't see the call to action. And so because of that, you don't want to take away from that. And so what you would do is you would ask all those people, you drive all those people to sign up for a replay event. And the great part about having a replay event is that's something that you can kind of hang over their head and say, if you don't watch this, you don't take action, I'm going to take this recording down, and you're never going to be able to get this value again. Okay. And so that's something, and that's real scarcity. That's real scarcity that you can bring. Is when people do fake scarcity on webinars, people pick up on that very quickly. But if you actually go through and you take down the recording and the offers, and they can't, take down the recording, they take down the offers, and they can't get access to that anywhere else beyond you doing it all over again, then that's true scarcity. So, but again, if people have watched the entire webinar, but they didn't click on the call to action, they didn't purchase, then what you want to do is you want to have customized ads based on how they engage. So for people who left early or missed the webinar, say, hey, thanks for signing up. I saw you didn't watch the entire webinar. What I'd love to do is I'd love to give you access to a 72-hour replay. It's a replay that's only going to be available for 72 hours. And we have a special offer for people who watch the entire event. That's it. Okay. And then you repurpose that on email, Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it might be. Then on the other hand, for people who have watched the whole thing, for people who've watched the whole event, they didn't click on a call to action, they didn't buy, then what you can do is say, hey, thanks for watching the entire event. I noticed, hey, I noticed that you watched the entire event. Thank you for doing that. However, I noticed that you didn't take that last step, that last final step. So what I would open up an invitation for you to get access to this now for a discount or whatever that offer is, and say that expires going to end in 72, 48 hours. And then every 24 hours or maybe even every 12 hours, I update all the ads, the email copy, and I say, 12 hours left, 6 hours left, 18 hours left, whatever it might be before that offer ends. Okay, so then from there, once they purchase, that's it. Not really, because you have to keep marketing them and keep adding value, but that's kind of the whole flow. So what I want to do is I want to kind of give you a quick overview of a, I mentioned a little bit earlier the six-figure webinar campaign that built a six-figure business in under 6 months. And I want to just go through and I want to give you some slides as far as that, just to kind of show you is when I put together a presentation, what's the process, okay? So here we go. All right, so let me move this over. Excuse all my fun things going on in there. All right. Cool. So we're going to skip all of this stuff because we're reaching the end of the event. So, as far as content. Okay. So, just to kind of recap everything that we've covered here so far. So, I've walked through and I got a little bit in the weeds of breaking down the entire webinar campaign. And then I wanted to go through and actually break down what are the ways that you can really discover who your online competitors are as far as people who are driving traffic to online events for your business, okay? So you can go through, and I pulled up SpyFu on the last training. So you have SpyFu, you've got SEMrush, you have SimilarWeb. I went through and I showed you the Facebook database search. I showed you the Google image search hack. I talked about the Pinterest search hack, the blog backlinking tracking. You can do all of that within these three tools here, the SpyFu, SEMrush, and SimilarWeb. And essentially what you're doing is you're going online and you're seeing who already is, when I'm searching other webinars in my space, in my industry, who's showing up, who's getting the most results. And then those, you want to take the top three and you want to sign up for those people's events using 3 different emails, one that watches the whole thing, leaves early, and misses it, okay? So then from there, you can get all the insight, all the analytics of what their marketing infrastructure looks like. And if they're not leveraging Google, then I showed you the hacks for figuring out what they're doing on Facebook. If they are using Google, I would just click on all the links that is giving them the most traffic. So within these tools, you can actually see. Here, let me pull it up for you really quick. Sometimes I get a little excited here. So here we have learncopy.com. This is a bad example because they're not actually even doing this right now. But what you can do is you can do keyword searches. You can see their PPC research. So like you can go to keyword groups, and for people, so let's say we did GoToWebinar, okay? So let's say we did GoToWebinar.com. Oh no, we research search limit. So on the right-hand side, you can see management, configure, training, food. And then from there, I can click on these keywords, and then I can see all the keywords that fall under that group, under that category. So what you're going to want to do is, here we go. Okay, so what you can do is then you can see what's the cost per click, what's the difficulty, what's the monthly cost on that, and then now you have a clear path of outperforming your competitors using these methods. Okay, so and then from there, that's kind of the step one, is figuring out what they're doing, okay? And then looking under their hood, so doing what we were just doing on SpyFu. So this is how you're able to get all that insight, all that analytics as far as how they're leveraging it, okay? And then, like I said earlier, you've got the SimilarWeb, you've got SpyFu, SEMrush. Sign up for a free trial for all of these, and then take your top competitors and then run the data across these 3 different platforms. Because then what you can do is you can see, what data is consistent, what data is not consistent, what stands out on one over the other. And then from there, you can go on like the blog backlinking tracking, okay? So with just like SpyFu, where I pulled all the keyword searches for paid keywords, then if I were to go find a competitor, I could see all the blog traffic that they're getting, and then I can see the keywords, I can see the actual blog, I can go to the link and see if those people allow other advertisers on there. So then I can see if that's a good fit for me to advertise on there or not. I can see the conversion rate, I can see the results and things like that. So, so as far as, there we go. Yeah, okay, so as far as that, you've got different tools, Facebook database search, where I showed you how to go into their competitors' info and ads, see their data, go through and actually see what they're doing online. And then you've got the Ad Espresso and falling into their ecosystem, clicking on all their ads, clicking on all their pages, see who they're targeting online. And so when you do all these things, this is going to give you a really clear path as far as figuring out this process. Because like I said before, it all starts right here. Everything else below here, so the indoctrination emails, the confirmation and reminder emails are important. So if you just do, this part, add registration page, thank you page, and then you have these emails and you don't have anything else, that's a good starting point right there. So as far as that, if you're trying to think like, what are, this is a ton of information. What are next steps? What do you think I should be doing? How do I go through and actually set up a webinar campaign that's converting for myself? What I would give you two recommendations. The first one is go through and figure out who your top competitor is online as far as the ones who are hosting webinar events. The second thing is do some investigative research. Go leverage these tools that I've talked about. See if they're leveraging Facebook or Google. If they're leveraging one over the other, then they're targeting your perfect audience. What I would do from there is I would just focus on one of those two distribution channels. Once you do that and you get the process down really well, and you're able to get more people to sign up at a lower conversion rate, you're able to get more people to actually view your webinars. So you want to take each data point because getting someone to sign up and getting someone to buy, there's a lot that happens in between that process. So even though you can have someone watch, you can have hundreds of people watch your entire event, that doesn't mean they're all going to buy from you. And the reason could be the way you structured the presentation, the way you structured your campaign. You didn't prime them to buy. So there's a lot of components that go into it. So as far as things that you can be doing, go through, figure out who your top competitors are, what medium that they're targeting, and then figure out, and then actually map out each part of that step. So what does their ad look like? What does their registration page look like? What does their thank you page look like? What do their emails look like? What does their presentation look like? And map and document that entire process out. And then after you do that, you've officially completed the first step of the first 4 days of our training. And I hope you found a lot of value from that, and you're going to actually go through and start applying some of this stuff for your business. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have a Facebook group that I'm going to include in the link in the comments on the bottom, and then you can easily get access to that. If you'd like, I can actually add it in the chat for you right now. But as far as that is everything that we've got going on here for today. So we have officially completed day one, and if you want access to the group, you can just click on there, and then you'll get access to the group through the chat. And so as far as tomorrow, we're going to be covering how to attract new people to your webinar between the investment of $5 and free. So I'm excited to cover that content with you guys tomorrow.